Hey guys, so last night I went and saw Bridget Jones's Baby. I know it's been pretty much a few weeks since I've done any reviews. I've kind of just been busy with work and everything else, and I haven't really been able to go to the movies. And I was like, shit, I got a lot. Or earlier this week, I was like, fuck, I got a lot of movies I gotta catch up on. So I decided to start with this one and just move or make my way through all the other ones later on this week. Bridget Jones is, as far as the Bridget Jones series goes, I remember those movies, but I could not tell you much about them. It's been a long goddamn time since I've seen them. I had to actually recollect my memory about them before I saw this because it's like I barely remember. All I remember was Hugh Grant's in it, Renee Zellweger, and Colin Firth, and that's about it. Like I said, I remember that Renee Zellweger's like a woman who has all these relationship troubles, and that's all I remember. That's what the movie was about. And I was like, I had to recollect my memory a lot about it, and I was like, this is weird. Okay, so where the hell is Hugh Grant in this one? Like that was my first reaction when I first saw the trailer for this one. I'm like, where the hell's Hugh Grant? I'll talk about him later here. But, and I was like, what, really? Was there really a demand for a Bridget Jones sequel, 12 years later after the second one came out? Apparently there was, because we got one, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is, I've talked about this enough, but, how this year has been this weird year, and it's going to continue throughout the next few years. We're getting a lot of sequels to films that I don't really think anybody was asking for sequels to, and this is one of them. But I was like, all right, I was hearing I was getting good reviews. I remember I said, I kind of went in with this is one of those movies that if it wasn't getting as well received as it had, I probably wouldn't have seen it. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out, see whether this is any good. I kind of went in with an open mind, and you know what? This is one of those movies that I thought was just okay. It was not. There was nothing really offensive or really terrible about it. There were things I didn't like about it, and I'll get into that. That did kind of bug me, but also at the same time, I kind of was like, I can tell this is one of those movies that I'm not the target audience for, and because of that, maybe that just kind of hurts, or hurts my opinion on it a little bit. I don't know, but it was fine for what it was, and it's one of those movies that I pretty much will forget fucking seeing probably a year from now. But it was all right for what it was. Again, like I said, it's not my cup of tea. But I'm sure the people that love this kind of thing will love it. Like the women and the target audience will love it. I will say there are a few things I did like. I did like most of the cast in this movie. I love Colin Firth. He was probably one of my favorite parts of this movie. Honestly, I thought one of the best characters, probably the only decent person in this movie. I kind of really that guy's such a charming motherfucker. It's not even funny at this point, and a really good actor. And I love him as an actor. He's really growing on me over the last couple of years, and he had one of my favorite parts of this movie was when Bridget was trying to explain to him Gangnam Style. He's like, yeah, I've been to Gangnam before. It's the capital of Seoul. I'm like, I was like, he's just basically killing the joke of the song, and I'm like, yeah, that was kind of funny. He wasn't getting it. I liked this deadpan kind of humor. He is his deadpan humor really worked for him. I want to see him do more comedy stuff that's kind of different out of his realm, like Kingsman, because he was so good in Kingsman. It wasn't even funny. It was the best part. It was really awesome to see him do something like that, which I hear he's doing the sequel, so I'm all happy for that. but I thought he was probably the best part. Also, Emma Thompson's really good, pretty hilarious. Is this doctor that Bridget keeps seeing, and she really is freaking hilarious throughout this movie. She has some of the best lines. I love Emma Thompson. She's another actress I could watch her in almost anything, and she's awesome in this. She steals almost every scene she's in. This movie, I was trying to throughout the whole movie. I was like, why does this movie seem so similar to me? And like I said, it's been years since I've seen these movies. And I'm like, why do this film seem so similar? I'm like, you know what? The best way I can describe it is this movie is like the British version of the fucking Sex and the City series. I think that's the best way. I'm pretty goddamn certain. Like, it's like written by a woman that wrote these books about Bridget Jones, that she created this character, and she writes in her diary and shit like that, just like Carrie Bradshaw. And I'm like, this is exactly like almost a ripoff of fucking Sex and the City. They talk about sex nonstop almost throughout this fucking movie. It's like, this is almost a ripoff of like the fucking like the British. This is like literally the British version of Sex and the City. I have no idea if that was supposed to be like that, but I'm pretty sure. Like, I wouldn't be surprised as like this. I think the first one came out like a few years after Sex and the City debuted on TV. I was like, I'm pretty certain this is like almost a ripoff of it. But I have a lot of the same problems I have with the Sex and the City series. I have in this one too. I'll hit that in a second. But there was some generally funny moments throughout this movie. I mean, there were some pretty goddamn good funny moments. Like I said, the Gangnam Style part was pretty goddamn funny. I'm trying to. This movie, I did laugh at it. I'll give it that. What I have problems with this movie is where I have problems with this movie, and why I don't really recommend this movie as much as I probably, as some women would. I don't know, as some people would, is because I did not like the fucking Bridget Jones character whatsoever. She honestly, in my opinion, is a terrible person. I am sorry, but she is a terrible person in this movie. And throughout this movie, I'm like, God damn it. This movie could have easily been solved in like 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And this movie did not need to be fucking 2 hours long. But because of this fucking person not acting like a normal fucking human being, it has to be 2 hours long to fucking, like, oh my god. Okay, my main problem with this movie was this woman should easily just tell these guys, hey, look, you might not be the dad, and you might not be the dad. One of you two might be the dad. I don't know who it is. And she spends like a half hour or so not like going around the subject and trying not to like tell them about it. Like, this movie could have easily been cut down short if she would have just fucking told them. And I'm like, what the hell? You are a terrible person. You won't fucking tell them that they might not be the dad. Like, there's another guy in the picture. Like, that is fucking terrible. That is a terrible person. Like, to the point, like, that scene where she tells Colin Firth, and the joy that he has on his face is, like, heartbreaking. It's like, dude, you are a terrible person for not fucking telling him that. Like, I would have dumped that bitch. I'm sorry, but I would have dumped that bitch. Terrible person. Terrible person. And also, she is really fucking incompetent. Like, she is really bad at her job. I don't know how this woman has kept the job she's had for as long as she did in this movie. She is terrible at her job. Like, seriously, she makes some really fucking terrible mistakes, to the point that at the end of the movie she does get fired. I'll give her that. But they do fire her, and one of the best scenes in the movie is that she's like, her best friend is like, well, she's the heart and soul of this team. You can't get rid of her, yada, yada, yada. And the boss is like, look, she's done this, this. She's got to be fired. Her friend was like, you got a point. I was like, see, at least this movie's pointing out the flaws of this fucking character. Like, I was sitting there, like, halfway through this movie, like, this character needs to be fired from her fucking job. She is incompetent. She is a terrible person. I love Renee Zellweger. Renee Zellweger is probably the only reason I kind of don't absolutely hate this character, because she is, a decent actress. It was awesome to see Renee Zellweger, that's easy for me to say, Renee Zellweger in a movie again, even though her face is all fucked up nowadays. Like, good God, that woman needs to quit doing plastic surgery. It's kind of funny when you watch. There's points in this movie they flash back to the first film, and show scenes from the first film. They show like Colin Firth and how young he looked. That was kind of funny. I was like, man, how young he is in this. And then you see Renee Zellweger, and it looks like a completely different fucking person. Like, man, that poor woman. She was not an ugly person in the first place. But man, she needs to, like, stop with the plastic surgery. It's ridiculous. I like I said, I never thought she was an ugly woman. Whatever. Like I said, like, a lot of the problems I have with Bridget Jones, I had with, like, stuff like characters like Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City, where she's a terrible person. She's kind of unlikable, and I can't get around with. I understand that I'm not a guy. Some women would say, "Oh, you just don't understand women." Yeah, maybe I don't, but I know some women are not this fucking terrible. Also, they're not like terrible people like these characters are. Fuck. Like, mess with guys' emotions and, kind of are egotistical, materialistic. Like, also, Patrick Dempsey, as much as I love Patrick Dempsey, he's basically McDreamy in this, just because he's charming and likable almost, just because he's McDreamy. Like, he is kind of a terrible person too. Really, like, it's kind of funny. Like, I'm pretty certain that Hugh Grant was written into this role, and I think that's what happened. Like, he was written into this role originally, but because he said, "Fuck you, I'm not doing it," basically that's what the version of that story. They wrote Patrick Dempsey into this, and like a new guy that she just briefly meets at a fucking music festival, and then they fuck, and they end up, she's pregnant, so she barely knows this guy, and she obviously has like Colin Firth is like you're like, dude, it's not even a fucking debate of who she should go with. Colin Firth is the actual half-decent guy and the only half-decent person in this movie. So, honestly, although he should just say fuck you and leave her, honestly, he is actually a decent person. But Patrick Dempsey is alright in this movie. What the hell else I want to talk about? I don't know. I'm just on a rambling rant at this point. It's been a long day for me. Yeah, I guess I should talk about Hugh Grant. That thing was kind of funny. What is up with movies nowadays? And like, when they do like sequels to movies that are like 15 years old, like their last movie was like 15 years ago. Like, when an actor says they don't want to do a role, they just kill them off. That's what they did with Hugh Grant in this movie. The beginning of this movie is Bridget going to Hugh Grant's funeral. He lands his plane in a bush so they can make a joke about him landing in a bush. And it's like, why is this a thing that always happens in movies? Like Sean Connery and Indiana Jones. What's another movie? This happens all the damn time. And it's like, why? And I don't understand it. It's kind of hilarious, but like, and then at the end of the movie, like, spoiler alert, it hints that maybe he'll be back for a sequel, which I don't know is there really any necessary for a fourth movie? But whatever. And even if they did a fourth movie, it's pretty ballsy in thinking that you'll get Hugh Grant to come back. But whatever. After he told you no the first time. But anyways, yeah, I kind of thought that was kind of funny. But as far as this movie goes, it's not my thing. It's alright. I don't recommend it really, unless you want to take your girl on a date night or something like that. And if you're a girl, you probably are going to see this one way or another, or if you already have. Again, like I said, I'm not the target audience, so, to each his own. If you like this movie, that's, to each his own, man. As far as trailers go, like I said, it wasn't a bad movie. I guess like a decent rental. Or if it's on TV, it's a decent thing to watch while on TV. As far as trailers go, I haven't seen a lot of trailers in them. It's been a while since I've seen any trailers. I haven't been to the theater in like a few weeks. I had some weird ones, including A Dog's Purpose. This and that one movie about that. This and what's that other movie of Will Smith where he writes letters to love, death, and time, and then they come in human form. This and that movie are these candidates for the dumbest movies, like the dumbest movie concepts I've heard of in a long goddamn time. A Dog's Purpose is a movie about a narration. It's basically a narration told from the perspective of a dog who lives his life like growing up with this kid to the point he becomes a teenager, and the dog dies, and then he becomes reincarnated as another dog, and then that dog dies, and he becomes reincarnated with another dog by another dog, and so on until he meets his owner again, like when he's older and he's Dennis Quaid. I'm like, that is fucking stupid. Like, I was just like, that is a really stupid plot. I know it's based off a book apparently, but it's still fucking stupid. And yeah, no. Although that Will Smith movie is still the dumbest idea I've heard in a long time. Nothing tops that. And the other trailer I got was Bastards. This looks kind of funny. It's Owen Wilson and Ed Helms are two brothers who their mom is Glenn Close, which was kind of cool to see Glenn Close in the movie again. That was awesome. And she ends up like telling them that their real dad didn't die of colon cancer as they were led to believe, and that she never really knew who their real dad was. And so they go on like a road trip to try to find out who their dad is, and one might be Terry Bradshaw, or Ving Rhames, or who else? Who else was in that? Oh, J.K. Simmons. I was like, all right, this could be kind of funny. J.K. Simmons looks like he's gonna be kind of fun to watch. So yeah, that's as far as trailers go. I'll be back within probably by tomorrow. I'll probably do another review here shortly, but I have to see Snowden, Magnificent Seven, Storks, Miss Peregrine's Home for the Peculiar Children, and Deepwater Horizon. Those are the other films I'm going to try to get around to seeing in the next few weeks. And also I got Birth of a Nation later this week too, coming out later this week, so I'll have to try to fit all those in here shortly. And until then, I'll talk to you guys later.